Hello MotoGP fans, welcome back to ZNGP Today. Gigi Dall'Igna, Ducati's chief engineer, expressed pride and excitement following a thrilling battle for victory at the Australian MotoGP, where Ducati riders dominated the race. Dall'Igna praised Marc Márquez's relentless drive for victory and reflected on the performances of Jorge Martín, Pecco Bagnaia, and Fabio Di Giannantonio. The MotoGP title race has heated up as Ducati's team manager, Davide Tardozzi, weighs in on the battle between Jorge Martín and Pecco Bagnaia. With Marc Márquez's comeback win at Phillip Island and only 3 races left in the season, Tardozzi shares his insights on the championship fight. After the Australian Grand Prix, Marquez shared his thoughts on the race and reflected on his own performance. Despite finishing 15th, the Gresini rider had a lot to say about the key moments of the day, including his brother Marc Márquez's win and its implications for the championship. Don't forget to click subscribe button and the bell icon for MotoGP news update. Marc Márquez's third victory of 2024 left a lasting impression on Ducati's Gigi Dall'Igna, who described Márquez's performance as irresistible. Marquez, racing for Ducati this season, executed a remarkable comeback after a rough start, demonstrating once again why he remains a force in MotoGP. Marc Márquez has bagged his third success of 2024, reaffirming that he is back at the top of MotoGP. He went crazy, as he does when he can smell victory, without holding back anything, Dall'Igna told. Marquez's aggressive pursuit of the lead, particularly during his nail-biting duel with Jorge Martín, had fans on edge as the Spanish rider fought relentlessly on a track that suits his riding style. While Marquez's aggression earned him the win, Jorge Martín, who is still vying for the 2024 championship, adopted a more calculated approach during the race. Dall'Igna highlighted Martín's maturity, noting that the Pramac rider had more to lose in the championship fight. Jorge tried to impose himself, with great merit but not at all costs. He made a good start and stayed up there in front until the last laps, engaging in an exciting fight with Marc, but ultimately took the points he needed most. Martín's solid second-place finish allowed him to extend his lead over Bagnaia to 20 points, a significant advantage as the season draws closer to its conclusion. As for Ducati Lenovo's Pecco Bagnaia, the reigning world champion endured a tough weekend at Phillip Island. According to Dall'Igna, the new track surface and challenging weather conditions threw off Bagnaia's setup, and he was unable to find his rhythm. Despite the challenges, Bagnaia fought valiantly to secure a podium finish. Pecco had a rather mediocre weekend, always lacking something on a track that was hostile to him. But it is precisely in these situations that the traits of a fighter come to the fore. He did very well, getting on an important podium. Bagnaia's third-place finish allowed him to stay in contention for the title, even though he was unable to match the pace of Marquez and Martín on this occasion. One of the highlights of the weekend was the performance of Fabio Di Giannantonio, who finished just shy of the podium in 4th place. Dall'Igna was full of praise for the young Italian, noting that his impressive result could signal more success in the near future. We must especially congratulate Di Gia for his great race. An excellent performance, starting from 12th on the grid, which he finished with a promising 4th place. He concluded. As the MotoGP paddock now heads to Thailand, Dall'Igna is optimistic about the performances of all his Ducati riders, and he looks forward to the final stretch of the season. With just a few races left, the battle for the MotoGP championship intensifies. Marc Márquez's resurgence adds an extra layer of excitement, but Jorge Martín and Pecco Bagnaia are still firmly in the hunt. Stay tuned as the action continues at the Thai GP. Marc Márquez's recent triumph at Phillip Island has reignited the championship debate, as the Spaniard showed his fierce determination to secure victory. But Jorge Martín, despite being outpaced by Marquez, remains a serious contender for the MotoGP crown. Tardozzi emphasized that both riders delivered impressive performances in the Australian GP. Marc has shown himself to be the alligator we all know. He always goes for the win. He took advantage of Jorge Martín's situation, aware that he cannot risk making contact. His aggressiveness was evident. Quote from Tardozzi. Tardozzi also made it clear that there were no special team orders benefiting any Ducati rider, underscoring the freedom within the team for each racer to compete at their highest level. Tardozzi dismissed the idea that Bagnaia, the reigning champion, had any advantage over his fellow Ducati riders. The team boss confirmed that Ducati's priority is to maintain a fair and competitive environment, especially given their dominance, with 6 Ducatis among the top positions. We have made it clear that they must not be too aggressive. Today's race disproves the claims of those who believe that Pecco has advantages. Pecco Bagnaia's performance at Phillip Island wasn't up to his usual standards, and Tardozzi admitted that the Ducati Lenovo team may not have found the ideal setup for him in Australia. This affected Bagnaia's ability to challenge the frontrunners, leaving him to settle for a podium finish behind Marquez and Martín. Despite Bagnaia's mental toughness, Tardozzi acknowledged that Jorge Martín has made significant strides this season, positioning himself as the rider with the best chance of winning the championship. Martín's strategic decision not to engage too aggressively with Marquez during the Australian GP highlights his growing maturity as a racer. Jorge has made a lot of progress this winter. After the race in Australia, it seems that Jorge has more chances of winning the MotoGP title, Tardozzi concluded. Tardozzi believes that both Martín and Bagnaia deserve credit for their performances this year, and while only one will be crowned champion, both riders will leave their mark on this unforgettable season. With just 3 races left in the 2024 MotoGP season, the fight for the championship is intensifying. Jorge Martín may have the edge after Phillip Island, but Pecco Bagnaia is not backing down. The next round in Thailand could be crucial in deciding who will lift the championship trophy. Alex Marquez endured a challenging race at Phillip Island, starting with an incident in the first corner that left him battling at the back of the pack. The Gresini rider had to manage several complications, including contact with another rider, believed to be Jack Miller. It got very complicated in the first corner when I noticed contact from behind. I think it was Miller. I didn't get off to a bad start, but the plan of getting off to a good start and positioning myself was ruined because I was last. Quote from Alex Marquez. Alex Marquez's race was further hindered by a long lap penalty, which sent him to the back of the grid again. While he managed to recover slightly, his overall pace wasn't enough to challenge for higher positions. The Spaniard also reflected on the lack of penalties for the incident involving Miller, which affected both their races. However, Alex downplayed the situation, considering it a regular occurrence in MotoGP racing. It's a bit of a tricky first corner. I do the standard line, the normal one, but it can happen. That's how it is. Despite his frustrations, Alex focused on his progress with the bike and remained optimistic about the future, acknowledging the difficulties he has faced in recent races but expressing hope that he can turn things around before the end of the season. One of the standout moments of the day was Marc Márquez's impressive win at Phillip Island. Alex Marquez, who had a close view of his brother's performance, wasn't surprised by the result. In fact, he predicted Marc would take advantage of the situation and make a decisive move on Jorge Martín to clinch the victory. I knew I was going to win. I knew he was going to take a chance with Martín here, and he drew on his experience. Interestingly, Alex suggested that Marc's win may have indirectly benefited Pecco Bagnaia in the championship fight, though he implied that this point might go unrecognized. He did Bagnaia a favor, but they won't say that either, Alex concluded. As Alex Marquez prepares for the next race in Thailand, he continues to reflect on the ups and downs of his season while watching his brother Marc play a crucial role in shaping the championship battle. The final stretch of the MotoGP season promises even more drama as the title fight tightens between Bagnaia and Martín. Vinales, who also suffered pain in his arm today, and back, and this is your MotoGP news update despite the injuries. See you in the next video. He expressed relief at